Last week I returned to San Francisco, where I first took up golf. My first stop was Presidio Golf Course, whose rugged beauty is pretty tough to beat for a Muni, and you can tell I'm happy to be back. In addition to the beauty of this golf course, I wish I could convey through the screen the smells of the Presidio. It's sea air mixed with eucalyptus trees, and it's a pretty awesome place to be. Presidio doesn't play terribly long, but what it lacks in yardage, it makes up for an elevation change and that thick sea air. And my first swing of the trip is a good one, and it will leave me just a short iron in on the first hole. My second shot of the trip isn't a great one, and as you watch me struggle to get up and down from 25 yards, I'll note that the bent grass fairway and greens at Presidio really had my number all day long. And it starts here on the first hole, where I make a disappointing double bogey. The second hole is a gettable par 5 if there ever was one, but unfortunately I hit one of two stray drives I hit on the front 9, and I'm forced to just get the ball back in play with my second.
Yeah, I think it's out of there.
From inside 100 yards, I put this one reasonably close, and from about 10 feet here, I leave this one a few rolls short. I mentioned the natural beauty of the Presidio, and I'll stop a few times today to show you the bunkers around some of the green complexes, which I think are just awesome. The third hole is one of the tougher ones on the card, and not because of the drive that's pretty wide open, but because of the steep uphill approach. And I made a mistake here by going for a sucker pin tucked in the back, and I miss it short in a greenside bunker. I'll have about 25 feet now, and my head's still spinning a bit from the 3-putt on the first hole, and I'm pretty happy to get out of here with a 2-putt. The fourth hole is just a short pitch from this elevated tee box, but check out the bunkering around this green. Again, pretty awesome for a Muni. Mine winds up in the middle of a bullseye that was placed on the screen for a tournament the prior day, and I will get out with a 2-putt par. The sun started to shine here on the 5th hole, a steeply uphill par 4, and tree-lined as always, like every hole at the Presidio. And with just a short number in here, I chunk a wedge into some thick rough. And with this blind third shot, I at least put myself in decent position. And excuse my playing partner for standing in the way of putt 1, and this is just another 2-putt bogey.
That's a beauty. That's one way to get there. Yeah, no,
I'll get away with this low draw on the 6th hole. And this is more uphill than it appears, and my shot pitches at the front of the green before rolling through the back. But unfortunately, it's time for those greens to strike again. I rolled this 12-footer a good 4 or 5 feet past the hole, and now from a range where I'm usually quite confident, I put a tentative stroke on it and leave it a roll or 2 short.
Oh, that's a perfect swing. Get out there. As long as it's not wet, that should roll right there.
It does make its way up to the front, but I underread this putt and miss it a good foot short. That's my best drive of the day to date, and it winds up in some rough just right of the fairway.
Oh, fuck.
And I can blame the lie or just say that I put a lousy swing on that one. And I decide with my next shot here from about 40 yards, I'm just going to bump it with an iron and take these chunks out of play. This is about a 30-footer uphill, and I proceed to knock it about 15 or 20 feet past the hole. And you're getting the drill of what's happening to me on the greens today, as this one turns into another frustrating double bogey. There's my second driver miss on the front 9. I was trying to hit this one hard and hit it high on the face and short into the trees. My punch out here is spoiled by a cart path bounce, and unfortunately I'm going to have to punch out again here. I'm back in play now from about 100 yards, which is probably my favorite approach number, and I hit it close.
Oh, money, man.
And here's one last look on the front 9 of the high trees that frame the Presidio. I have about 6 feet now to finally get up and down, but I don't manage to do it, and end the front 9 with another frustrating bogey. 19 putts isn't going to do it, and failing to get up and down once out of 6 missed greens means that we have a pretty lousy score heading into the back 9. This is a beautiful par 5, and I find a good driver swing. And trying to get this second one to the green from about 240 uphill, the old smother hook comes out. And I'm lucky that I have a line on this approach shot here. I have about 70 yards and I leave it about a pace short of the green. And it's time for these bent grass greens to strike again. I'm so used to playing on POA, I don't have a feel for these, and once that gets between the ears, things only get worse. No bother, this is another good drive on 11. And this is probably my favorite view at Presidio. Be sure to like and subscribe. I've got dozens of more rounds in California coming up in the next few months, and I hope you'll join me for them. I thought I hit this one well, but on a downhill lie I put a bit of a fade on it and it comes up short. And this is one of my better efforts of the day. It almost drops and will leave me just a few feet. And I'm as tired of this as you are. It's another missed putt and a bogey. 12 is stroke hole 1 on the card, with the fairway bunker right in the landing zone, and I managed to draw mine around it. But unfortunately this approach shot is just a hair chunky, and I'm going to leave it short right. And this gives you a better idea of the topographical change throughout the golf course. It's pretty awesome and makes for a challenging walk too. I decide that it's been too long since I visited one of these bunkers. And you can hear here that I got too much ball on that one and fly it over the green. I thought this one was good, but it will leave me about a 10-footer for double bogey. But finally the golf gods smile on me. This is a tough par 3 with a small green and it plays quite a bit uphill. And I leave it a bit short as well. I pitch mine into the hill and it rolls out about 15 or 20 feet left of the pin here. And I finally find the pace of these greens on my first putt, but wait till you watch the second putt. Yeah, that's some frustration coming out and a double bogey. This is another uphill par 4, but for the umpteenth time today, with just a wedge in, I managed to miss the green. This is the high point on the golf course, with pretty sweeping views of San Francisco. And with that as a backdrop, I hit a wedge to about 4 or 5 feet here. And for the first and only time today, I do manage to get up and down. This is another beautiful elevated tee box into a par 3. I'll have about 25 feet, and it's funny how your mindset changes when you're not putting well. Because I'm actually thrilled to get out with a 2-putt here after what's happened throughout the day. I was aiming on the left side of this fairway, but leave it on the right. And this is another approach shot that isn't going to make it. And this chunked wedge is going to cost me a look at getting up and down. And suddenly I'm just praying for a 2-putt bogey here. Not today. It's another double. 17 is the final uphill par 4 on the course, and unfortunately I hit my third and final stray drive of the day. I saw a line to the green here, but unfortunately this one ticks a tree and gets sent back to the fairway about 40 yards short of the green. This is a weak effort that only gets to the front of the green, and I'll leave you a guess as to what happens when I have about 30 feet on these greens. It's yet another 3-putt double bogey. I'm lucky that this drive gets through on 18 here, and I'll have about 240 in. This one looked great, but winds up in a greenside bunker. And it's funny how the golf gods always keep you coming back. Because they will give me this long birdie putt on 18 that at least allows me to break 90 on a really lousy day. I won't go through all of these numbers because suffice it to say they're bad. But this was nonetheless a great reintroduction to golfing in California. And over the next week I managed to get down to the famed Pebble Beach, and then up the coast to Half Moon Bay, and in the city to Harding Park, and a few other great gems that I hope you join me to see.